Very glad to have you all here with us this Thursday. We're in a kind of transitory period here at Every Move Collective. We've been doing these calls on Mondays for the past 2.5 years, bi-monthly, and we are just launching. This is our first Thursday call that we're having with Every Move Collective, and we're very honored to have our friend Gina Waterfield-Jenks on this call speaking to us about confidence in entrepreneurship, business, and just really building a resilient mindset for this industry that we all work in. So I'm going to just introduce us, and then our dear friend and partner Jake here on the call is going to do a 10-minute sort of marketing segment, AI marketing segment that is going to be a staple on these Thursday calls that you can kind of always look forward to learn like a new marketing AI tool. And then we're going to dive in with Gina. So I'm Colby, my mom Eva Casoria, my brother Dylan Casoria. We run a top producing team out of Westchester, New York, Connecticut, and Los Angeles. So we're bi-coastal, and we really have built these calls to be a place for people to come together in virtual community, to learn from other leaders in our industry, apply what they're using in their business, in their own business. It's a very like open your playbooks and contribute and share and collaborate. So we appreciate you all being on your cameras. If you want to chime in the chat and ask questions at any time, please do. We will make sure to get to your question. Feel free to, raise your hand as well. But yeah, really excited to dive into this topic and be kind of launching these on Thursdays. We're excited to be a weekly kind of staple call now. We found that the bi-monthly calls were some people kind of forgot if it was the right Monday to attend. And so upping this to every Thursday, so it's kind of something that you can count on to turn up to learn from and whatnot. So Jake runs a marketing company. He is very experienced with funnels. He's also has built a really incredible jewelry brand. And we wanted to bring Jake onto these calls to share with you what's working in marketing, not just in real estate, but like across entrepreneurship. So we can learn from people who are doing this in all different industries and apply it to our business. So I'll let Jake sort of introduce himself and then we will dive in.
Hey, yeah, thanks for having me. Sorry if there's an echo in here. This is not my normal studio. I'm moving out of town today. But long story short, I have a marketing agency. I've helped thousands of entrepreneurs, and recently I've gotten into the real estate industry pretty heavy. That's where I met Eva and Colby. But yeah, I just every week I want to bring you guys some really awesome updates because there's so much changing right now, especially with AI. And so I had a different topic I was going to teach, but then another change happened yesterday. And so let me show you what I'm talking about, because this is something that I've literally been playing with all morning, sending it, because I run different companies. And so I've been sending it to my companies like, hey, we got to fire our graphic designers now because this is better than anything we've ever hired for. And so what am I talking about? It's ChatGPT image generation. Now, ChatGPT's been doing images for a while now. And if you know anything about AI, there's different platforms that do AI images, like there's Google Nano Banana, things like that. This is by far the best now, as of yesterday. So literally this changed yesterday, and it's absolutely amazing what it can do. And I'm going to give you some actual use cases in the next, 9 minutes on how you can use it for your real estate business. And so it's extremely powerful. And I get that, we work with a lot of agents, and a lot of agents don't know what to post, or the content just takes too long. It feels like content's a full-time job, or just hiring graphic designers. I've consistently had to pay graphic designers anywhere from $500 to $2,000 a month, for the past 9 years, for my agency clients and for my own business. And so now ChatGPT literally does better than any graphic designer I've ever hired, which is crazy to say, but it's now true. And so let me go over the first detail, or from the first use case. And so if you want better listings, so whether that's a listing post for Instagram or a listing post for Google, or you just want to make your images better, I'm going to show you some prompts. And I've got a full guide of prompts I can give you guys after this. But for example, create me a modern luxury real estate Instagram post for a 4-bedroom home with a clean layout, neutral colors, elegant typography, and high-end branding. And so not a complicated prompt, but let's see what it does. Now, just for the sake of time, I went over to a random listing in Pensacola that was 4 bedrooms that I found just because I live in Pensacola, and went ahead and I screenshotted a few of the images off the Zillow listing, and I put in the prompt. And then I said, here's the listing details, and I just shared like a Zillow. You can share whatever listing site you want, but I just put in the Zillow one. And then I'm going to click, make sure this doesn't get deleted. I'm going to click create an image, and then I'm going to click the send prompt. And so we'll see what it comes up with. But what I was using this for this morning is meta ads. I was using it for flyers and so many things. And the crazy thing is, you don't really need super detailed prompts. I found that just basic stuff is still getting me really good results. Back in the day, you had to, do more in-depth prompts. You can still do those, but I'm finding the basic ones are working really good. For example, type a yes in the chat if you've ever tried images on ChatGPT. I'm just curious if anyone has tried images on ChatGPT yet. Okay. And so the problem with ChatGPT images that always frustrated me so much in the past was, I would put in, for example, a headshot of myself. I'd be like, put me in this image. And then maybe I wanted to make a change to that image. Maybe I wanted to tweak something. Well, the second or third try, it would start to distort my face, and it would not be able to remember what I actually looked like. And so now let's check out. But what I was saying is now it's a lot better with that, and I'll show you that on the next prompt. But pretty dang good. I like it. It even has like all the correct information. If we look over here, this is the address, the square footage. This is the realtor. And so, yeah, really nice.
Wait, did it read your link from Zillow?
Yes. And so
Cool.
all I did was literally just screenshot a few images, and then I just put in that little prompt, and then I put the listing site.
I did not realize ChatGPT had the capability to read links now. That's how behind in AI I am.
Yep, it definitely can. Now, I will say I originally tested this with no images. I was just like, I wonder if it can pull the images from the website, and it did not do that. And so that's why I screenshotted the images.
Okay.
But yeah, pretty nice graphic. And now here's another feature they added. Let's say it's like, okay, great, I've got a square graphic, but I don't want square. I want to make it into an Instagram story. And so now you can click this little button called aspect ratio, and I can change it to an Instagram story size. That way I have both. Another thing I can do is if I click on it, I can click this little select button. And so now I can hover over. I don't know if you can see that, but now I can hover over. So let's say that I'm like, okay, this part right here, I don't like that font. And so I highlighted that, and I could say, please make this font more bolder or change this typography. And so you can, if there's like a small change you want to make, or it's like, hey, I want to get rid of this tree branch, you can do this little editing tool. And the way I did that is I just clicked this little select brush at the top. And so that's pretty cool.
So could you download this like into a Canva and have it be editable, or you would have to use ChatGPT for the edits and request them like one by one?
For edits, you would probably just need to use ChatGPT. You can
Okay.
put it into Canva, like ChatGPT links to Canva, but I don't think it would be like editable like you're talking about. I think you just need to do it through here.
Yep. Cool.
And then you just click the button to download it if you want to download it. And so let's see if it gave me okay, so it's tweaking the 9x6. While we're waiting on that one, I'm going to go over another prompt. And so let's see, fix your personal brand. This one was really impressive to me because literally you just upload a selfie. If you have the ChatGPT app on your phone, it'll prompt you through this. It's just like upload a selfie, and then you can literally just take a selfie of yourself. And then I went ahead and took a selfie just to show you what that looks like. But yeah, now we got and what's impressive about this is back in the day, ChatGPT was really terrible. Like any AI was kind of terrible at text. Now there's no typos. The text all looks very good. It's very spaced out. So this is just like a professional graphic designer or better.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm going to do the one about I'm just going to start a new chat, create an image, and then you can click on Studio Headshot, but I'm just going to show you, there's the prompt that I'm going to give you is better for real estate. And if you specify this is for a real estate agent, it'll make it a bit more probably what you're looking for. And so let me find my Where was it? I was trying to find my selfie that I added, but I can't.
You have to take one live.
Yeah, I mean, I could, but what the heck? Oh, here it is. Okay. So I'm going to put in this prompt that says, turn this into a professional real estate agent headshot with soft lighting, modern office background, and a confident expression. And then you can also pick your size, like if you want portrait size, square size. I'm just going to do auto, and we'll see what that comes up with. Now I'm going to go back to the original chat. Hopefully it still is there. Actually, no, we were done with that one. Never mind. Okay, so while that's loading, I'm going to show you one more prompt. And like I said, if you want to get all my prompts, I'll show you how to do that in a second. The next one's going to be get seller leads. And so this is like, meta ads like Facebook and Instagram ads are working really good for us right now, and it's way cheaper leads than Zillow. And so that's what my company does. But anyways, this can create really good, high converting Facebook ads. I was playing around with this morning, and I was like, wow, these are some of the best ads I've ever seen. And so I could just copy this, and I could go back to, well, let's look at that. So there's my real estate headshot. Pretty dang good. It's even got the exact creases in my forehead. Okay, so you can definitely use it for now. You don't need a professional photographer. You can quickly, go out and get headshots on ChatGPT. So let's go back to this, and I'm going to say, create a high converting Facebook ad for homeowners curious about their home value. We'll see what it comes up with. But yeah, I was just amazed because I mean, like, look at this. This is,
We did get one question that I'm curious about in the chat. Rima asked, would chat read an MLS link or no, because it's kind of behind like a membership wall?
if it's behind a membership wall, I'm not sure. But the other option is I use this little plugin called GoFullPage. It's a free Google Chrome extension, and it screenshots the whole website and puts it into a PDF or PNG, and you can just download the image right there of the whole website.
Cool.
And so the other way you can use this is if you like, if there's a competitor website you like and you want to copy it, you can just screenshot their full website and have AI rebuild the site for you.
Cool. Go full page. That's awesome.
Okay, and I probably
Chat's
don't have time to
chat's
do,
thinking hard.
yeah. I probably don't have time to do the last one, but here's another option. Let's say you have an empty room and you're like, I want you to virtually stage this for me. It can do that, and it can make it look really cool, virtually staged. And back in the day, you had to do some expensive software to do this. It took a while. Now you can do it instantly. It's pretty awesome. So here's an ad for Facebook. Curious what your home is worth. Get a free no obligation home estimate in just 60 seconds. So pretty nice ad.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Awesome. So if you
Awesome.
guys want to get the my full prompt guide, just shoot me a message on Instagram. It's Jake Randolph Marketing, and I'll
I'll
send it
drop
over to you.
your I'll drop your Instagram profile into the chat too.
Okay.
And yeah, anyone have any quick questions for Jake, or feeling like we're going to use that tool? Oh yeah, Rima says. I can read lips.
That
Thanks so
wasn't
much,
hard
Jake.
to
Really
read.
valuable.
Yeah.
I think it's a much more improved version from the past. I mean, I've used it in previous editions and it does make a lot of mistakes. And like you said about the warping of faces and things like that, it's pretty impressive how much it's shifted.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
agree. Thank you, Jake. I
Thank
don't know
you,
if you
Jake.
saw my message in the chat there. Is that the paid version or is that the free one?
Yeah, that's the $20 a month version.
Okay, so that's the one. I'm trying to decide which one to get, so get that one. Okay, thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, Jake, so much for your time. Again, this is going to be something that we do regularly, so definitely tune in on Thursdays to learn from Jake on literally what is the latest in the past 24 hours happening in marketing and AI.
See you
So
next
now we're
week.
going, yeah, we'll see you next week. Jake, if you want to stay, obviously
Jake's
you're
on.
welcome to stay. I know you're a busy guy.
Jake's on next week too.
Yes.
Jake will be here every week.
Oh, I'm definitely gonna dial in for that. I was like last night I was playing around with the new features, Jake, and I'm so excited to hear you talking about this because it was really interesting. The only thing that I noticed is that in my ad, it was creating a book cover idea, a concept for an event I'm going to this week on a book I'm writing. and it kept putting a wedding ring on my left finger, and I couldn't get it to stop. After like five versions, I just finally said, okay, quit. And then I
That's
did
when you go
that.
use the magic eraser.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could do that. I thought about that. And then the other thing was that I thought was kind of funny was I kept having to tell it, okay, you're gonna have to age me a little bit because your images look like I'm trying to be like 25 years old. It looked like I was like in my infancy still. So I'm like, I need to be a little bit believable here.
You are believable. So, on that note, Colby, are you giving a more formal introduction to Gina, or
Why
is
don't
she
you do?
diving right in?
You've known Gina forever. It should come from you anyway.
Well, because I didn't prepare, I will just say that I've been fortunate enough to be a friend of and learn from Gina for probably about 15 years now. And when I first met Gina, it was in the real estate world. And when I became more friendly with her, I learned that there's so much more to Gina than just real estate. She is very well credentialed, and I'll let her speak to that exactly. But the combination of real estate and who Gina is just comes together in such a powerful way. And we are so blessed to have her here today. Gina, tell us about you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you. It's good to see everybody's faces on here today. I love faces, and as human being, we all want to see faces, right? So, which is why marketing ourselves is so important, right? So, thank you, Eva, for that introduction, and Colby for having me on the call too. And the bottom line is that I'm a human being just like you. We're all humans here, and we're really interfacing, we're working to interface with other humans here. So, all of these strategies that we talk about on these mastermind calls are all linked to one thing, and that is human and human behavior. So, that's why mindset is so important, and especially when it comes to confidence. So, I had nothing to do with real estate until I met my husband, Dave Jenks. And if you don't know that name, you probably need to go look it up. But um, Dave was a leading presenter and developer in the field of real estate, and he co-wrote the books, the MREI, and Shift books with Gary Keller. So that was my husband. He was an educational psychologist, and he introduced me into the world of real estate when we met. And the only thing I knew before that was you buy a house, you live in a house, you rent a house, you sell a house. That was pretty much it. Oh, and you clean a house all the time. So, it's been really a dynamic journey for me. And at one time, I did go to school to become a real estate agent. In fact, I went twice. I actually passed my final exam and decided not to go forward. And the reason was primarily because I felt confident that since I was working with so many real estate professionals globally, I already had enough to go with what I learned in school and to be able to stay in my own profession, my professional lane with full confidence and work with real estate professionals knowing what they deal with. And so coaching them, I also realized, and I coach executive leaders primarily and their teams. But I realized that most of what they were coming to me for was human problems. It was emotional in nature. Why? Because we're all driven by our emotions. This has a lot to do with real estate because your customers are also human beings who are driven by desire, fear, all the same things that we are, right? And it's why confidence in real estate is so important because your customers are coming to you for a service that is emotionally driven. Whenever there's money involved, whenever there's relocating involved, whenever there's family considerations involved, their family's changing. A lot of times it's birth, a lot of times it's related to aging. Sometimes it's related to finances in the worst kind of ways. Sometimes it's the best kind of ways. But It is all related to our emotions. Our consumer mind is driven by our emotions. Confidence is so congruent with how we show up in the world and whether or not we have the confidence within as we see or don't see. We need to bring it up. It's a very big topic today, and I don't know if you know this, but mental health is now the top issue globally. Well, I can tell you that a lot of the real estate executives that I've worked with very intimately as a clinical hypnotist, as a coach, a life coach, I'm trauma certified. I work with people who are top performers and they still have things that they come to me for specifically. And when they talk about their teams, they're talking about confidence too. I've met highly confident agents and professionals who don't convert. And I always say that confidence is it's environmental, it's genetic, it's psychological. There's so much to the psychology of how we feel about ourselves that drives our behaviors. And so it's everything really. So we have to get in touch with why are we not confident? And if you ever want, to have a brief call, I'm happy to do that with you to target a starting point. But uh, I've met people who are quietly confident and those who are aggressively confident. You can see the difference. Maybe you're in one of these areas yourself. The aggressive confident is loud, boisterous. They walk in a room, all attention is on them because they are coming in with like gangbuster, right? And then there's the quiet confident who walks in, doesn't have to say a word. Their energy walks in almost in the door before they do. And you know those people as well. Sometimes they're introverts. Sometimes they just recognize that they don't have something important and valuable to say until they do, right? So confidence shows up in different ways. And sometimes those overt, confrontational, confident people are actually masking insecurity. You probably all know somebody like that. They're loud, abrasive, and almost abusive. But sometimes it can be really, it can feel overwhelming and obnoxious, and their energy is like all over you, and you didn't ask for it, right? I also was talking with Colby earlier and Eva about aligning yourself with brilliant people. I asked two people on this call to show up because I wanted them to interface on this call a little bit. They're some of my favorite people, two of my very favorite friends. But I also asked them because I wanted you to see the quality of people that I admire so much. That's Melinda Redder and Karina Loyo. And they might look unassuming in some ways, but don't mistake that. They are very confident. And I surround myself with confident people because I'm making an elective choice to do that. It's conscientious. It's intentional. I surround myself with people who are brilliant. They're visionary. They know more than I do. And I do that because I want to be more like them. I want to associate my mind with that language that is more accelerated than what's in here sometimes, right? So my parents were humble people. My grandparents were humble people. They worked very hard. They had rough lives. And yet they also had this quiet confidence that I didn't even understand until later when I studied neuroscience and neuro behaviors that are linked to the psychology of a human being and started putting together a lot of things that made sense much later in life. And I wish I could talk with my grandparents today and tell them thank you for demonstrating what it looks like to be consistently confident. So that looks like belief. The power of belief is so important to us. Do you believe that you can? Do you believe that maybe, okay, make a choice? Like we have to be decisive, be intentional. I'm going to make a choice about this next step I'm doing. You guys are growing, the expansion is there. Now, sometimes we don't know what we're supposed to do next. Like, what steps do we need to take? How do we be strategic so that we can expand, right? And not contract. So I think that taking time to pause, the awareness that we get when we're pausing is really your superpower when it comes to confidence. I can tell you I've had a lot of things happen in my life, and especially in the last 5 years, that have just shook me down to the ground sometimes. And I always get back up and I always reinvent myself. And I always know that this might suck today, really suck, but tomorrow's another day. And it's more about the way that we respond to the challenges, the disappointments, the failures, the blah, 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 the missteps, than reacting. Like I choose to respond to situations instead of being reactive. Does that mean I'm always not reactive? No, there are moments where I'm like blip, 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 it comes out of my mouth. I'm pissed. I'm dealing with something. That's a short stop for me because I know when I'm in that state, my energy, my nervous system is not going to be firing the way that I want it to. It's not going to be working the way that I want it to. I want to be in a flow state. I want to be in an expansive state where I'm curious, where I'm open, where I'm not fixed. I don't have a fixed mindset because that's easy to get stuck in. And I've seen it happen over and over again with even people I love dearly. I don't want to be that way. I'm very intentional about that. I'm optimistic. I choose optimism even over positive Pollyanna sometimes because sometimes when you're in that state of disarray, you don't want to hear somebody say, well, you made all the choices in your life, right? It's like, no, I want to have grace and compassion for myself. That's a game changer. When you can say, wow, that sucked. I made a bad choice that time. Wow, that didn't really go well. But you know what? It's an experience. I can tell you, I have had a plethora of experiences in my life. And I mean, they're not ones I can always say I'm proud of, but they are experiences that I draw lessons and awarenesses from. That's where the rubber meets the road. Can we look at those experiences, no matter how critical, how badly they looked, how badly if we fell, how hard we fell, and say, it's okay. I learned something. Didn't I learn something? And write it out. Sometimes you have to write it out. But even like with technology, I used to say I hate technology. I don't say that anymore because technology has helped me enormously in some ways. And if I don't know, I have people I can ask. That's again who you decide to surround yourself with, your environmental habits. That's a big deal and it is a game changer. I know now I can call Jake and say, yo, Jake, I have some questions for you. Jake's going to get on that phone and he's going to help me out any way I can. I have the confidence to make that call. I remember a time when I didn't. I didn't have the confidence to walk in a room, let alone speak on a stage. We change, we grow. We're changing now. The organization, the EMC organization is changing and growing. I'm changing. Everyone that I know personally on this call is changing right now. We're all going through a metamorphosis. And just like ChatGPT and all of those AI companies, we have to be commensurate within those changes. We have to follow suit. If you're going to be successful, or I'm going to be successful, we have to put ourselves in that game of information. Now, I'm a big advocate for mind, body, spirit. I'm a big advocate for holistic health. So I will say to you, you have to have downtime and you have to make sure that you're getting enough rest. All the basics that we all know. They're so basic, we overlook them. and we're going hard charging through life. And I'm going to tell you, your health is the most important thing that you have. If you don't have that, you don't have shit.
So true.
Everything else will fall apart if you don't have your health.
Yeah, I was actually gonna take a moment to ask you a question, and then in you mentioning that, you kind of addressed it because my question was, in this fast-paced, sometimes dog eat dog industry that we're in, I mean, there's a lot of collaboration that happens too, but it can also be very competitive and things change, really quickly and move really fast. And sometimes you have to reckon with your confidence being shaken. And how do we build resilience to kind of like move through that without letting it blow us off course? And I actually think the answer might be getting enough sleep, having other things that you're passionate about. But I'd love to hear more from you on that question.
Thank you, Colby. It's such an important question. And the harder we are on ourselves when we make a mistake, the harder it's going to be for us to recover because our brain registers that, right? And so we have to train ourselves to quickly say, first, let me pause and think about this for a minute. You know, my husband used to say, don't respond to anything until you've thought about it for a few minutes. You're going to get invitations to speak here, speak there, do this, do that. And he said, but I want you to make sure that you think about, is this really something you want to do, invest in, or whatever? And I think that's so critical. I've also learned that every room is not my room. And I am extremely selfish at this point with my time. I will be 67 in June. This past year, 10 months ago, I had a stroke. It was not a TIA, it was a stroke. They discovered a brain tumor. Um, I've lost very dear people in my life. Some of you know about this. I lost my father, my husband, my son, one of my sons, and my brother in the last 6 years. And my mother had a stroke, a major stroke, last year and a half ago also. And so um, I feel like I'm very well qualified to talk about how important it is for you to rest and recalibrate and to just take time for yourself. You do not have to go 180 miles an hour. You do not have to. It's not healthy for you. It's not healthy for any of us. And people look at me now because I was very highly visible on social media before. They look at me now in the last 10 months or so and they can see a difference. I know they can. I have followers and they're like, are you okay? Sending me messages all the time. I'm choosing to come back visibly front and center when I want to. Nobody's going to tell me I have to do anything other than that, right? I'm still doing things behind the scenes. I'm just not on social media all the time about it. But I do think that the right people will show up in the right rooms at the right time when you decide you're going to be very intentional about where your presence is presented, right? It also gives you time to do, like personal research for yourself. Who am I? We're all going through changes and transformations all the time, transition stages. Everybody is, there's if you look at the dynamics of how our culture has changed so much over the last 20 years. I mean, it's been crazy. I mean, I know some of you are probably old enough to know that we have seen some radical shifts that I remember not even dreaming up, right? Um, I mean, I used rotary dial-up phones and there were no computers. Like, you had to remember people's numbers. I don't remember anything anymore. So it's like, I've seen a few changes and it's exciting, but it's also a little bit intimidating for some people. For me, it's intimidating sometimes, but I recognize that my brain is only going to function at the capacity that I keep testing it, right?
Gina, if I can just say, Dylan and I uh, were in a home the other day and there was actually a rotary phone. There was a rotary pay phone. that was hooked up and ready to roll. And we were
Wow.
thinking, how often do you see that?
I
Um,
don't know, but it would be kind of fun to use it.
yeah.
Dylan,
And
what did you think about it?
It had dial tone and everything, and it was just in their basement, like next to their bar. So it kind of was like a touch of a feel thing, like in the room.
Had you
But
ever
yeah, it was
seen
cool.
one?
Yeah, I've seen a payphone before. I mean,
in
No.
not
person?
oh, a
Uh,
rotary. Well, I remember Nanny used to have one, like the dial-up phones. But yeah,
Yes.
Lord, I'm like so inconceivable to me to hear you say that almost because it's like Nana. I'm a Nana. I'm a Nana now. I like
don't
some
worry,
things
you're
don't hit
very
until they
far away
hit.
from how old she was.
Yeah,
What?
You're very far from how old she was. She was in her
90s.
90s.
Oh,
Well,
okay. Yeah.
hopefully
Well,
we'll all get there.
Yeah,
Just
Yeah,
focus
right.
on our
exactly.
health.
I know, which is a better, it's another reason to take care of your bodies now. Your body, your mind, your spirit. It's so critical because if you think about, the kind of energy that you're going to have to sustain over time, it's good to set up some good, solid core ground rules right now.
Mhm.
Remain flexible and keep your brain flexible also.
What are some ground rules that you set for yourself and your health, if you wouldn't mind sharing?
Sure. I recently, because I mean, I got a ton of diagnoses like lately. And so I'm like, that's some pretty interesting stuff. Like, oh, I guess I really ought to dial down on no inflammatory foods, no alcohol, getting plenty of rest. Water hydration is so critical. I didn't even realize how critical water was until I started talking to the stroke specialists, right? Hmm. Yeah, your brain needs a lot of fluid, apparently. And so, um, I did, and your cells, all of our cells do, but you know, I go to bed early. Everybody that knows me knows you better not freaking call me at 10 o'clock at night or 9 o'clock at night even. I don't want to hear that phone ring. And so I started taking my phone out of my room just recently, not even charging it in my room at night. And I have a Shark uh, air purifier, two of them that I keep running in the house all the time because I am sensitive to pollutants. And so I keep a really high efficiency filter in my air unit. But I go to bed early. I started recently not watching any TV because if I turn the TV on, man, I've noticed how sensitive my brain is. It connects to, okay, we're wired to connect a story, right? Y'all know that. Story is so critical, especially in you're talking with people, communicating in any way. But I started turning the TV off because I noticed that I was getting this shift, and then I would get past the tipping point on being sleepy, and then I wouldn't be able to go to sleep for a while. And so that air purifier in my bedroom, I kick it up to the full velocity so it makes like this constant white noise. Oh my God, it's bliss. I love it. And I also notice that I do not like any light coming into my room at night. That's definite. And then I have a very comfortable mattress. It's a Tempur-Pedic. Like my bed is like cush. It looks like a five-star hotel bed. And these things help me. I try not to drink now because I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to get up 15 times a night anymore. And so I'll cut off my drinking water time about 2 hours before bedtime. And I think the rule is 3 hours, but I don't really like going that long without water. I also started eating a lot less inflammatory foods. So I'm working on one big bulky meal a day in the middle of the day. That Colby has tided me. That's changed the game for me. I stay alert. I'm more alert for my calls in the mornings, my coaching, any coaching calls I'm doing, any speaking I'm doing. I try to bulk everything in the morning because I don't, that's when I'm like wired. I'm just right. I'm sharpest at that time of day. And also not eating up until that big bulky meal has helped me enormously stay focused longer and I don't get as hungry. That's what I've noticed. But but I have to have a lot of protein in that meal. And then I have eggs, cottage cheese, protein, meats. I use meats. Working on a salad cookbook right now. It's called 69 Sexy Salads. So I love food and I am vested in really dialing in deeper with this food piece because it is very interesting. And everybody's body is different. So it's like you have to understand your own body. So that's a reflection part for you.
Yeah.
But it
I
is,
was just talking with Lance, who's a new friend on this call last week. He runs a health and wellness real estate group, actually.
oh,
I'm going
wow.
on a hike with Lance at 6 p.m. tonight, sunset hike
Oh,
in LA, that
fabulous.
he's running for realtors.
Oh my
But we
God,
were
that's
just
awesome.
talking about, Lance was just talking to me about like realtors were constantly running around, like eating fast food or food on the go, like and we forget how much those like spur of the moment choices are actually impacting our resilience and our confidence
And
too,
our
frankly.
confidence, absolutely. Because if you don't feel good, you're not going to be confident. You're not going to represent that. That's why I say health is so important. And I'm with you, Lance. That's awesome that you're doing that. And I hope that just gets bigger and bigger and bigger as a project for you. Real estate people definitely need it. They're hard, generally hard chargers. I would say, they're the hardest driving people, and are always turned on. Like the dial is always on, typically. And I think that you could really help people understand more about being more conscientious about that. It does lead to better performance. That's what I see across the board with my clients and also myself. Yeah, it's important. Confidence
Gina,
is led by so many
I'm
different
sorry,
things.
you said something earlier about, oh, I'm so sorry. Do you hear that big garbage truck outside my window? No?
No.
Okay. You said something earlier that prompted me to think. Um, I think you said something like, but you don't go into every room. That's what you said.
Mhm.
And something that's changed for me recently, or an awareness I've started to think about is not every, you said not every room is for you. And I thought, not every client is for me either. That has been a really huge kind of aha in recent, very, very recent days. With Dylan, we've been working with certain people, and it was an aha because that is amazingly draining and not good for confidence at all because you think, what am I doing wrong? So not every client is, I don't need to go with every client that there is.
No, it's this has been a huge awareness for me since I had this last big thing happen in my life. Um, is that I just realized I don't want to steal from my own energy. I was this morning I was thinking about bloodsuckers, vampires, energy thieves. Like it's just like all these negative connotations, you know? And oh Lance, we should get on and cook sometime together on camera. We'll do that on a call sometime. Um it's I'm very sensitive to energy and frequency, and so I've noticed about myself that I definitely choose to put myself in around people that bring me joy. That's another big piece of it. It's like I want joy in my life. I want to be in a state of awe as much as possible because I know that when my mind is in that zone, my body cells are going to be activated. My nervous system is going to be activated in that way. It's going to be commensurate with that. And if I'm in a state where I'm surrounded by people, if I'm surrounded by people that I don't enjoy being around, I start to feel like I'm in low energy. Energy is so contagious. It can take you down or it can elevate and expand you. You know, it's so important. I can't even stress that enough. We are what and who we surround ourselves with. Our environment shapes us. So it's very critical that we take heed with that one. And It's a part of the strategy that I made sure that I was going to move forward going with Colby. It's eating well, it's walking, it's moving my body. At my age, I didn't work out my entire life. That was not one of my things. I was more of a creative, visionary, holistic, but I did become a yoga teacher and I did teach yoga for a while. I was also a massage therapist for 16 years and Reiki master and all of that sort of thing. Um, but it wasn't until I was 40 something that I actually started working out. And saw my body responding to that kind of stimuli. And then when my dad died and my husband died within the last few years, and then my son, it was like all these deaths, and you have to process grief. I mean, grief cannot be bypassed, cannot be overlooked. If you try and bypass it, it will show up somewhere, somehow, right? And so there's the big game changer for me. I had several big awarenesses, and my body, I think that my body, because I was in a state of grief for so long, so many years in a row, I think that it really impacted my body. You're dropping cortisol all the time, and it's just not healthy. Karina and Melinda and I both were talking about this frequently, and how important it is for me to now stay dialed in on movement, nourishment, and that means in all ways, fluid intake, and then peace. I'm going to cry if I talk about that too much. It's like peace is so important to me right now. I have to feel like I'm grounded in something, some energy, a platform for energy that is so big and vast and so healing that it can lift my mind, my body, and my spirit into an elevated form. And so my faith in that, and my faith is such an important part of that. I'm very spiritual in nature. I'm very earthy by nature. So even thinking about doing, a lot of speaking events and everything, I'm a conversational style speaker. I want to reach people from heart to heart, heart to heart. I want to implore you to take care of your precious heart, your mind, and your body and your spirit, and to share that, to expand that kind of consciousness. It's God consciousness, and it's elevating, and it's pure. So sometimes so all the social media stuff is it's not as important to me as it could be, but I'm working at my own level of where I'm at right now. That will change. It always does. Everything changes. There's only one constant in this life, and that is change. Things will change. We will see many changes in our lifetimes. So I hope this is helpful for you to mostly find a state of ease and grace for years, for you and for yourselves and for your clients and customers and your families. Confidence is contagious. And when we get into that state of higher level thinking and being, we can't help but be confident. You can't help it. You're just a light beam. You're a light source.
Yeah, so
Does
true.
anybody have any
People,
questions? Don't be shy. Feel free to take yourself off mic and ask a question if you would like.
Rima?
I have one. So, I kind of put this in the chat earlier. You're talking about finding the rooms that are the right rooms for you and all of that. And I would say I'm very much like you. I come from a social service background, so I'm very heart forward, and
Yeah.
those connections, I say that's my superpower, is building connection with people. And I've found that to be challenging moving into this real estate world, because there's a surface level appearance of collaboration, but underneath that, there is a competitiveness, and also as a child of immigrants, I've walked through my life in the world trying to find where I fit in. And that's always been a struggle for me. And I'm I'm finding that very hard in this industry and finding those kinds of connections and relationships. And when you end up in a group of people where there's 7 of them that all think alike and they're all together and you don't fit with that, that's not it. I struggle with the confidence there. Like I know that's okay, well they're not my people and I don't want to be like that, but there's that piece of, am I doing something wrong? Should I be why am I not fitting in? And do I run away from the situation, or do I just stay here? Or am I going to keep running to try and like the past part of life, keep trying to find the group that I fit in, but I'm always a little off of it.
Okay. So
That
there
was a
were
lot.
several things there. Number one, I can relate to everything you said. And I've lived all over the world too, and all over the country. So moved so many times, and got to see a lot of different cultures. And I think that one of the most important things for you to do, Rima, in particular, is to stay above the noise. To stay above that noise, that negative noise. What I started doing, and I don't know if this is something you would want to do, but I started hosting dinner parties at my house.
I dream of having a place that can fit more than 4 people
Okay,
to
so
do
you
that.
start out with 4 people. So you start out with 4 people. There's an answer for everything, right? And so I just recently bought a table, a bigger table, because I wanted to seat 8 to 10 people in my apartment, mind you. And so the parking sucks. I don't care. I mean, find a place to park. We'll get by, walk to the apartment. It's cool. But what I've noticed is deeper conversations, more honest conversations. People are sharing things that they would not share publicly or even with some of their people. And so it's really interesting what happens at a table like that it's in a home, so it feels safer. It's in a smaller community. I recently started leading. We're doing my girlfriend and I are doing a colleague. She's a girlfriend too. Everybody ends up being a girlfriend. But we are leading a conference in September, and it's centered around reinvention. And it's Still I Rise is the name of it here in Dallas, in Plano. And the the context behind this was because we were going to all these rooms, all these networking groups, and we just didn't feel that it just didn't like there were so many of them that we didn't feel like we fit in. We don't. But I've always been kind of a loner anyway. I've kind of always had my own identity. I kind of always never fit in anywhere. I mean, I lived all over the world, so I had to fit in, like somehow, like be present, fit in. I didn't have clicks. That wasn't me. And so what I do take pleasure in today is I am the leader. I mean, it took me that long to figure out, hey, you know what? You're in your
I'm
own lane.
tired of being the leader sometimes.
There's other people. Well, but this is a
Yeah.
softer form of leadership because it's more authentic and genuine. And you cannot be in alignment with yourself if you are not in authenticity with yourself. It is impossible. You will not be in alignment. You're out of integrity if that happens. So we can have another call later, another time. But bottom line, you create your own niche, and there are people out there who are just like you, and me. That's it.
And one of the things that you realize over time is that, communication is probably the most complex thing that we do. And so no matter how clear you try to make your communication, when you're talking to somebody else, they're still going to filter it through their own stories, their own beliefs. And at the end of the day, they're going to come up with their own conclusion about you, what you said, how you acted, etc. And you cannot control them. So what you have to do is realize that you have to be authentic to yourself. You have to start with the heart, do the best that you can. And if you've done that, then that is the best that you can do. And some people are going to love you, and some people are going to be like, you're out there. So you just have to go with it. And you will find your tribe, just like I found Gina, right? She's part of my tribe. We will find ourselves surrounded by people who appreciate us and who value who we are. we're not for everybody, and that's okay. Someday they may be able to catch up with us, but not always. It's okay.
Yeah,
I
I
tell
mean,
myself that every day.
look, thank you, Karina, for saying
Yeah.
that. Karina and I talk almost every day. Melinda and I talk almost every day. We don't talk every single day, but we are our own community. Like our conversations are important to our well-being, our sense of connectedness, right? And that's what a lot of people, I think that's why mental health is such a big deal now. Like it's such a big issue, is that people feel less connected, even though we have all this greater resource when it comes to technology. That that's ant the that's the antithesis toward the with the what was the original goal of technology, right? We're supposed to be better communicated or connected, and it's not happening all the time. And so it's kind of risky. It's kind of scary actually, but you create your own tribe. Like Colby and Eva, if I called either one of them or texted them and said, "Hey, I got a question I need help with," they're there. They're there. This kind of relationship, this is deeper level relationship. It's not every day. You don't have to. How often do we talk, Eva? Once every couple months now.
It does go. I was just thinking as we were chatting, it goes in waves, right?
Yes.
You know, it could be 2, 3 months and we don't chat, but then the minute we do, we're right back where we were. And then maybe it goes, every other day for a month. So it really does go in waves, and I so appreciate the relationship that we have. I
So do I.
often think about Dave and I'm so thankful that he
That's,
introduced
and
us.
yes, me too. And he was masterful at that. I also, when I had the stroke, um, I called Eva, or she called me because I think I actually put it online, at one point. But I think we had already talked about it, Eva, right? And she
Yeah.
said, "Oh, I know a doctor. Let me make a couple of phone calls. Like he's a super specialist." I mean, like for me, when Dave died, I had people volunteer to leave their teams wherever they were and come to stay with me. Like I didn't know these people. I knew them online. We had maybe talked on phone call here or there, but I did not really know them. But because I was a presence on social media and told story, right? That was I'm a writer too. And so the connections though are so integrally important to our well-being. Lance, you and Colby put doing things together. That's that's golden. Like you will never forget that relationship. And even if you moved in different regions, that's solid communication, and community is so important. We need to have our community. So Rima, I want to talk with you about that a little bit further. But
I have to run to a coaching
Yeah, I was gonna say
session.
Reba's
So thank
running.
you.
And we've reached the
Do it.
I'll
top
What's
of
find
the
what
you
is
on,
it?
hour.
I'll talk to you on Facebook, Gina.
okay, and you guys, I put my email address in there if you need it for anything.
Did you? I don't see it.
What?
I don't see it. Your email?
At
Way back here.
Gina Waterfield is oh no, that's just
It's
Rima.
no.
We can get it to everybody, Gina. No
All
problem.
right, thank you. Thank you. You could give them my phone number too, the people on the call.
Absolutely.
Thank
Okay.
you so much, Gina, for
Thanks
sharing
for
your
having
light
me
and your
again.
wisdom. We love you. We appreciate you, and we will see everyone next Thursday.
I love you too.
Bye,
Take care,
guys.
everyone.
Oh, I have a hand